What is finance? Finance means management of monetary resources. Monetary resources means management of funds or money. But do remember, this is the very general definition of finance. So to have a proper understanding of finance, we need to discuss the three main activities associated with finance, or the three keywords. And those three keywords are raise or generate monetary resources, allocate monetary resources, use or utilize monetary resources. So let's discuss these three keywords in detail. This is your balance sheet. Left hand side of the balance sheet is known as the asset side, whereas the right hand side is the liabilities and the equities side. Asset side is also known as the resources side. What do we mean by resource? So do remember, resource means anything that you need to run your organization is your resource. For example, land, building, equipment, furniture, human resource. You need all these things to run your organization. But to buy these resources, what you need funds or money. Sources will help you to buy your resources. And there are two main sources of finance: debt source and the equity finance, or the equity source. Debt source means the liability financing, and the equity source means investment by the owner. So this debt financing and equity financing is known as the financing activity. So once we'll be able to generate the sources for the organization, what we'll do, we'll buy resources for the organization, and this resources side is known as the investment activity. What is an investment activity? Investment activity means what mix of fixed assets and what kind of current assets we need to have in your organization. So financing activity is related with the first word, generation of funds, whereas investment activity is associated with allocation of monetary resources. So once we have generated resources and we have invested or allocated our resources, the next step is proper utilization of monetary resources. This is known as the management of monetary resources, and this activity is known as the operating activity. So what is an operating activity? Operating activity means the management of sources and resources efficiently. Do remember, this activity, the third activity, which is an operating activity, plays a very vital role in the success or a failure of an organization, and it makes the difference between a private organization and a public organization, especially in economies like us, the underdeveloped economies, where the corruption is at the highest level and the government employees are not willing to perform their duties efficiently. So this activity plays a very vital role in the success of an organization. So the first activity is financing activity, which means the generation of monetary resources. When I say allocation of monetary resources, so it means we are talking about the investment activity. And then the proper utilization of monetary resources and the sources is known as the operating activities. But the thing that we need to remember is, while performing these three important activities, we need to consider the risk associated with these three transactions, because risk plays a very vital role for an organization. And what is this risk? Risk means the uncertainty or unpredictability between the actual outcome and the expected outcome. So let's summarize all these three concepts. So if I'll summarize these three concepts, so finance means studies and addresses the ways in which individual, business and organization raise, allocate and use monetary resources over time, considering the risk involved in their project.